guys, it's Hollie here for PlayStation Access. Now, I'm talking about a game that originally some of you will remember, but it is back and it's looking better than ever. In fact, Rob and me have already been playing it. It is Get Even from the Farm 51. Now, I think if anyone hasn't heard of Get Even, or this might be the first time you've seen it, I think the best place to start is the story. So can you give me a very top line, what is going on?
Okay, so I don't want to spoil the actual story of the event, obviously, because this game is all about the story. If I give you story, then I give you too much. But it was in 2005 or 2006 when I watched Butterfly Effect movie, and I realized that this movie is like a video game. Basically, it is about the guy who failed with something in his life, and then he has ability to go back in time and fix it. So basically, my first impression after this movie was, well, this should be a game, because this is about the game mechanics, like if you fail you can replay. That was the beginning, that we would like we liked to create this kind of story just with help of video game, because we believe that video game is providing you the tools that are natural for you, then that give you non-linearity, give you the ability to change the fate, change the future, also change the past sometimes. So that was beginning of it.
Now, let's talk about the use of the phone, because this really, for me, was where the puzzle aspect came from, and it was a very clever way of saying, we're not a shooter, because the idea is you don't have the gun in your hand all the time because you have the phone. Lots of different apps do lots of different things. So can you give the people watching an idea of what the phone can do and how it's so important to the game?
Okay, so we wanted to create a game about discovering the truth, about discovering the mystery, so the investigation kind of mechanics was quite natural for us. So we thought that, okay, but what is the most natural way today for the human to process the data, to gather the data? So it's actually their smartphone. We spend most of the time with our smartphones, all the time. So it was like, okay, so just make a super cool smartphone that everybody would like to have some consistent mechanics of investigation that is easy to use and provides you with a lot of opportunities.
To give you some insight, the first version of the phone you had in the other way, so you had in the left hand, and you could have the gun this way.
Okay.
So you will imagine that, I told you before, the game is all about try to create some emotion with the people. So okay, now we want to create fear, now we want to create stress, now we want probably to create some happiness or something like this. And as a designer, if you put the phone in this hand and the gun, then you have the weapon and then you are invincible. But then I want to put you in the place when I want you to be scared, so I have to remove that. And you will always have the choice to, I get my phone and I have the map, I have like thermal vision, I can solve puzzle, I can look for clue, but as long as I have the phone, I don't have the gun.
Now, you touched upon different routes and different stories. So the game has an overarching story, and that is the path we're sort of following, but you really can change that. What is that like to write?
Okay, so there are two things, because many people play the game which have some branching in the stories, especially the RPG games, but in the what I call epic games, it's usually like your decisions are shaping the world. Yes, but here your decisions are shaping your own story. But of course, because we are quite small team, we had to focus on the smaller things that are becoming noticeable quite later after. So after short play, you are not aware what you have changed or what your decision that you made, but I believe it's actually more like the life, like the real life, because usually, and that was one of the messages of the game, that you are taking decision in your life, but you don't know that you are actually taking this decision, or you don't know what they really mean. It's not like the red pill and blue pill from Matrix, like kill or be killed, but it's usually many of small things that may alter your future.
Now, the game looks very modern, very real world, but the reality is, even when we played for 10, 15 minutes, we saw some really heavy sci-fi influences. Can we talk about some of the creative weaponry and just things to make it feel still very special and unique and quite creative?
Well, originally Get Even was supposed to be mostly psychological thriller, and it still is, but we wanted to play with different realities, like to question what is real. So actually we had to have some technological support to do so. So first was all this fancy virtual reality stuff, like because there was already the buzz around the virtual reality when we started developing it even, so we figured out, okay, so we can create inside the game even more cool virtual reality, like you have better looking helmet than most of the VR devices for now, and it allows you not just to see the other world, it allows you to immerse into the different world, or to replay the past, or to go into another people's memories. So that was actually one of the fantasies of the game. But the other things for the weaponry is different, because the corner gun weapon was simply our attempt to answer the question how to give players something unique in the combat mechanics, and actually how to make the shooting a bit more realistic. Because for me, in the most of the first-person shooters, I love first-person shooters. Both as a player, I was working on them for many years, but I always believed that actually the less realistic things in the first-person shooter is shooting, because in the third-person action games you can have a cover mechanic, so you play a bit more like in the real life, that you are covering yourself and you are trying to sneak from the cover and then shoot the enemies. In the first-person mechanic is very hard to do so. So we believe that corner gun is something that allows you to stay hidden, so it also, let's say, suits more the spy, secret agent kind of action that we got in the game. And second, it's simply cool and something new to try for the player to play the game differently, because we mostly let's say encourage players to not rush and combat and do the Rambo style, but to stay in cover, to sneak, often not to kill enemies. Sometimes you can just use the corner gun to look over the situation on the potential battlefield and avoid the combat. So it serves two different purposes.
Now, very, very finally, because this is going to be our last question. Originally, when the game was announced, there was talk of, back then, PlayStation Morpheus support that is now PlayStation VR. Are you guys still considering PlayStation VR?
So basically, the version that you play today doesn't support PlayStation VR, and you won't be able to play it at release, but we don't really know at the moment what's will happen with the VR version.
So anything's possible?
Yeah, I would say anything is possible, but I don't know.
But I don't know. Cool. Guys, thank you so much. I really hope we'll be able to get hands-on with the game soon, so that we can capture it and show you guys. I think the best way for you guys to really understand what we've experienced today will be to see it yourselves when we get our Let's Play live. Thank you so much for your time. Guys, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the YouTube channel. There'll be loads more coming up from the world of PlayStation.